Nas Daily. He was this guy who came up suddenly in the space of YouTubing, and I would say he revolutionized YouTubing. So now at the beginning, when he first came, few people were making videos that were just within the time span of 1 minute. Most people were making videos of 3 minutes, 20 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour. Most were making documentaries and vlogs. There were not much vloggers then, but there were lots of documentary videos on YouTube. And then this guy showed up and began making videos like vlog. I think he was one of those who make vlogging much more widespread. And he brought up this concept of that's 1 minute, see you tomorrow. And almost all of his videos always had a very important lesson for us to learn, just like going to a traditional society and learning all their proverbs or their adages. And then he had more and more following. But along the line, he began to digress. Now here's where the thing gets fun. Back in 2020, he came up with a video that was supposedly funded by, I don't know, Kuwait or Qatar or UAE. But many Gulf Arab states fund this guy's video. And at the time, the same countries were known and are still known to carry out human rights violations. Now, here's where it gets intense. From there, he began to propagate the idea that the Middle East, particularly the Gulf Arab nations, are the best of the best. Now, understand that nations need to maybe use the media correctly, but his videos were extremely whitewashed. They hid the reality of life in the Middle East and painted a picture of the Middle East as a paradise. Now, that's not the focus of this video, because at that point, and in fact, I myself, I began to observe that many people began to unfollow him. And in fact, I saw this other guy, Grubinski, who was also one of the earliest vloggers at the time. And someone made a comment on his video. This was on Facebook, I think in 2020. And this person said, I stopped following Nas Daily and began following you since Nas Daily began making paid videos. So now, no one's saying Grubinski doesn't make paid videos. YouTubers make a lot of money from sponsorship, advertisement, and all that stuff. But then, people could say that the video of Nas Daily was becoming more heavily politicized and capitalistic. Now, I'm not here to propagate any certain economic philosophy or political philosophy, but of lately, he have also made videos where he glorifies capitalism and demoralizes or demonizes socialism. Videos that paint Karl Marx as a very evil narcissist, someone with double standard, who had lots of money, who sexually abused his housemaid, and who was from a rich home and had rich friends who paid him to make works on socialism. Now, there are many views about this, obviously. Now, you might have views about certain things and still associate with people within those circles. Doesn't mean you make them enemies. For example, Jesus Christ, the Savior of the world, was heavily against sin. However, he made friends with sinners. Not that he encouraged their sin, but then he used that as a way to open up the kingdom of heaven for them, I'll say. Now, of recent, I'll say from the past 5-6 years, Nas Daily has begun to make videos that are, I would say, are heavily funded by the big food companies. These videos try to demonize omnivorousness. I don't know if it's the right word to use, but it tries to make it look as if humans are not meant to eat meat, drink milk, or eat any form of animal protein. At first, he said he was in love with a vegan girl. Now, it's nice for you to be in love with a vegan, but then you trying to enforce what you and your partner believe on every single human doesn't make any sense. Now, you can be a Muslim. Does that mean everyone should be a Muslim as well? No. You can be a Buddhist. Does that mean everyone should be a Buddhist as well? Obviously not. You can be a vegan. Does that mean you should force everyone to be vegan? No. But for this period of time, he kept on making videos and videos and videos about veganism, and even his other partner, friend, Project Night for Argon Hair or Agon Hair, was also making similar videos until he began to experience health issues, especially with muscles and psychomotors, whatever. He began to become much more rational and said, okay, I'm done with this vegan stuff. I'm going back to eating plants and animal-based protein, not just plant-based protein again. He began taking milk and taking more of fish, although he couldn't take the meat, but he took more of fish and maybe less of the meat. But now, here's the point. Nas Daily, yes, at some point, he went back a little bit. But then, now he's going even much more intense. Now, at first, he was propagating only plant-based substitutes of these food items. For example, he would suggest that we should eat more of tofu instead of cheese. He would suggest that we eat more of margarine instead of mayonnaise or butter. He also propagated that we should take more of soya bean milk or rice milk or oat milk, which, yes, might have some level of semblance to the traditional milk, but they have nowhere near the traditional milk that we take. And he also tries to paint this like, okay, if you rear cows, the cows are destroying the environment, they are releasing carbon dioxide or whatever, and releasing methane into the environment and creating greenhouse gases. And then the big farms are destroying the climate to plant their food. And then honey manufacturers are killing all our bees. And so we should go to lab-grown food. And this is where my point is. I'm not saying humans should not innovate, but there's a level of innovation that is completely unnecessary. Why create lab-based 3D printed meat when we still have our cows? And this is going to create a lot of problem for a society here. So, for example, countries like Netherlands or Argentina, where society is heavily based on cattle rearing, could see a decline in the economy, except the transition to other sources of income, like let me say service-based and banking and fintech or tourism, stuff like that. But otherwise, these countries are heavily dependent on their cow export, their milk exports, and all that stuff. And when these things are being supplemented by lab-grown variants, you'll see a sharp decline in the economic growth and to lead to poverty in some cases because not everyone will be able to key into this other sector. And the way the world operates is that the world needs balance. So, for example, different kind of experiments have been carried out in the past where certain forests were heavily populated with predators before, and humans went there, killed all of the predators. After a while, what happened? The forest began to die down because there was no predator to eat the prey, and the prey was eating so much grass and so much trees. And so the ground, the soil was leached of its basic nutrients. And so what happened? There was desertification. And what did they have to do? They have to reintroduce these predators, the wolves, the puma, the jaguars, for them to eat these other animals and create kind of balance. So in the case where you try to stop humans from playing their own role in the cycle of life, you end up planting a state of chaos. And not only that, also based on nutrition, humans are omnivorous. Goats and cows are herbivorous. Pigs are also omnivorous. Lions are carnivorous. So you cannot take a cat and force a cat to eat grass and beans. You cannot take a dog and force a dog to eat noodles and bread all day. These animals will die off because they need these other nutrients. So also we humans will need the nutrients from the plants, nutrients from the animals as well. So I'm not against innovation. I'm looking at this from the perspective of a sociologist because every single thing in society plays a role according to the theory of structural functionalism. And this is where I disagree with Nas Daily. I think he has gone too far and he should go back to common sense. Thank you.